Hi everyone, this is Anjali. Welcome to the channel. So today we are going to do tuples in Python. So till now what we have done is the very basic of Python, and if I talk about syllabus, it comes in revision tour 1 for computer science class 12 CBSE, right? So specific to our syllabus, revision tour 1 has basic things like what is Python variables, keywords, tokens, what are the data types, what are various operators we have, how we write conditions, and how we use loops. Okay, that comes under your revision tour 1. Then comes your revision tour 2. Now, what is revision tour 2? Here we study the various data structures available in Python. So data structures are like tuples, list, string, dictionary. We do have sets and arrays also, but that's not in your syllabus. You have to do 4 of them. So we have to do tuples, we have to do list, we have to do string, and we have to do dictionary. And you get number of questions based on this in your board exam. Along with that, these are required for doing your further questions related to functions and file handling, even stacks, right? So let's start with the very first and the very basic thing we have over here, that is tuples. Now, what do we mean by tuples in Python? Tuple is basically a collection of values. So we can say it's a collection of heterogeneous values under a single name. Like till now, you could have a variable in which you could have one value. For example, I write a is equal to 100. So a is a variable which is having 100 in it. If you print a, it will print 100 on the screen. If you put 50 here and you print it, so it's going to print 50 on the screen. So one variable can hold only one value at a time. If you modify the value is changed and you get the new value. But I want to hold multiple values in a single variable name. For example, I write a is equal to 50, 100. Now, this is by default a tuple. So we can also say a tuple is a comma separated values. A list of comma separated values is treated as a tuple. These round brackets are optional. If I give it, then also it's a tuple. If I don't give it, but I have given values separated by comma, then also it's a tuple. Now, look at this statement. A comma B is equal to 50 comma 100. This is different. Here, 50 goes to A, 100 goes to B because there are two variables on left hand side, two values on the right hand side. So first value goes to the first variable, second value goes to the second variable. But here we have more than one values, but only one variable on the left hand side. So there is only one variable on the left hand side. You have multiple values over here. So this is considered as a tuple. So a tuple is a collection of comma separated values, right? It can be enclosed in round brackets. So it's not a compulsion, but it can be enclosed in round brackets. It can be of any data type combination. So it's not like all integers have to be there or only strings have to be there or it has to be a float. So it can be one integer, one float, string, any sort of combination is possible. So we can have set of values like this. So that is said to be a tuple. Now, can we have a tuple with a single value? Yes, we can. But how? If you write a is equal to 70, is it a tuple? No, it's a normal integer. If I write a is equal to 70 in round brackets, is it a tuple? No, it is still an integer. If you have to make a tuple with a single element, we must put a comma after that, even if there is no second value. So even if you don't have a second value, you're supposed to put a comma over here. So you're supposed to put a comma over here to inform Python that it is not a single integer. It should be considered as a tuple. And this is very important from the examination point of view because this question has come a number of times in your sample papers as well as previous year paper, that if I write a is equal to 100 and I write print a into 5 like this, okay, and they ask you what is the output, right? Now what happens is in case of tuples or list or in strings, we have multiplication sign for replication means duplicating the data. For example, if I would have taken a tuple like 100 comma, now since it's a comma, it's a tuple. If it's a tuple, your answer will be 100 comma 100 comma 100 comma 100 comma 100. That means the tuple will be repeated for 5 times. But if there is no comma over here, it's taken as an integer. Now, since it's taken as an integer, when you write a into 5, you will be getting 500 on the screen. So basically, if I have a tuple having three values, 10, 20, 30, and I try to print here a into 2, so that means I'll be getting 10, 20, 30, 10, 20, 30. It will be replicated. I'll have the same set of values again, right? So I'll get the same set of values again, which can be printed on the screen. But if you're taking a single number and you don't put a comma there, it's taken as an integer. It's considered as an integer. And when I multiply it with 5 or any number, it will simply perform the multiplication and give you the result. So this is very important concept which you must remember. It can be asked. Okay, this is one thing about tuples. Another thing about tuples is that you can identify or you can fetch the single elements with the help of their position in the tuple. For example, if I have a tuple where I have these values 10, 20, 30, 40, I want to fetch the first element. I can get it as A0. So A0 gives me 10. That's my first element. Then if I want to fetch second element, I write A1. So I get 20. If I write A2, I get 30. A3, I'll get 40. A4, I'll get error because 4 is not there, right? So we don't have any index 4. We have 4 elements. That means the possible indexes are 0, 1, 2, 3. I cannot have 4. It's not there. So I'll get an error in that case. Quite obvious, right? So that's how we can fetch single elements. You can also use negative indexing. So negative indexing means that I can start the indexing from the back. Now, if I start from the back, the difference is it is going to start from -4, -3, -2, -1, not like this. So it is going to be the other way around. So last index will be -1. Okay, so 0 is counted as a positive number. Normally in maths, it's neither positive nor negative. But when you're talking about programming, so we consider it in the positive series. So that's why your first position is 0, 1, 2, 3. But when you start from the end, it is not going to start from -0 because there is nothing as such -0. So the first index from the back hand side will be -1. This will be -2. This will be -3. This will be -4. Got it? So that's how negative indexing can be used. So if I write A-1, I'll get 40. Similar way, A-2 will give me 30. So this is how we can identify or we can fetch a single element out of the tuple. So if I write A2 multiplied by 5, so that is 30 multiplied by 5 will give me 150. Got it? So this is another thing, indexing. So this is called indexing a tuple. Now, third major thing is a tuple is immutable. Now, we'll be doing list after this. The major difference between list and tuple is that list is mutable and a tuple is immutable. Now, what do we mean by the word mutable? Mutable, mutant, like modify. So if the thing is modifiable, if you can modify it, it's mutable. If you cannot modify it, it is immutable. So what over here is like if I tell you that this is my tuple, now if I have to get a value, I can fetch it with the help of the index. If I write a square bracket 1, so it will print 20 on the screen. But if I try to change it, I want to make it 25, it's not allowed. You cannot modify the value stored in a tuple, right? You can write this. I can write 10, 25, 30. This is okay, but this is like I'm changing the whole tuple. I am going to create a new tuple and the address of that comes in A. So I'm creating altogether a new tuple, but the existing tuple, you cannot modify a single value out of that. Okay, so if I have a tuple, I cannot modify one single value out of that. I can change the whole tuple, that is possible, but not single element at any given index can be modified in a tuple. So we cannot do that. So it is an error. We can't do this. If you write this, you'll get an error that assignment is not possible with the data type tuple. So we cannot do this. Okay, so that is the meaning of a tuple is immutable. Again, you get this question in the exam in such a way, like since you've given two pre-boards already, and even if you've not given, if you see PYQs, so you will see that there is a question, it's been asked again number of times, where they ask you that following are the few statements about a tuple. You have to find out which statement will generate the error. right? So they will give you statements like this only. Let's say this is the first statement, this is the second statement, this is the third statement, right? And something like this. So they've given some statement and they ask you like, what is the error? In which statement will you get the error? So we will get the error in statement 2 because assignment is not possible. Okay, so these are some of the basic things about